तुसी सारेयां गी मेरी तरफों नमस्ते ते कन्ने होई अष्टमी दियां मतियां मतियां मुबारकां. Today is a special day for us in many ways. It marks the week of our first anniversary. Yes, International Dogra Society will be one on 12th of November. We thought it is best to start this week with the message of Lord Krishna. It is even more special as we have our own scholar, or should I say he is an institution of Vedanta in himself, Maharaja Dr. Karan Singh ji, to share the knowledge of Gita with us. Namaskar, Dr. Karan Singh ji. Over to you.
पहले तुसें सारे इंटरनेशनल डोगरा सोसाइटी की बड़ी बड़ी बधाई एक साल तो पूरा करा दो. अगले शनिवार की दिवाली पौंदी है. दिवाली दी भी बड़ी बड़ी तुसें सारे मुबारकां. महालक्ष्मी तुहाड़े पर बनाए रखे. आज मैं भगवद गीता पर बोला करना, लेकिन शुरू करने से पहले मैं श्री कृष्ण का ध्यान एक बोलना चाहना और राधा रानी का एक ध्यान बोलना चाहना. I would start with a verse describing Sri Krishna and describing Radha also. Kasturi tilakam lalat falake vakshastare kaustubam nasagre navamautikam karatale venum kare kanganam sarvangi harichandanam chakalayan kanthe cha muktavalim gopastri pariveshito vijayate gopala chudam tapta kanchana gaurangi radhe vrindavaneshwari vishubhanu sute devi pranamami hari priye. Friends, it is very good to connect with you again. If you recall, the last time that I spoke, it was on the Upanishads. And I pointed out that they were the essential background and foundation of our philosophy. Today, I will talk on the Gita. In a way, the Gita is a derivative text from the Upanishads. There's a famous verse, Sarva Upanishto Gavo Dogra Gopala Nandana Paratho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gita Mritam Mahat. All the cows are the Upanishads. The cowherd is Sri Krishna. Arjuna is the calf who's drinking the milk. And the milk is the essence of the Gita. In other words, the Gita is looked upon in some ways as the essence of the Upanishads. We are living, as I said last time, also in an age of great turmoil and transition. And we're having all sorts of dramatic developments, elections. There have been elections in the world's strongest democracy. Tomorrow we're having election results in Bihar. So the world is constantly changing. Samyak samsarati iti samsara. The definition of the samsara is that it constantly changes. And we are now living in a great turmoil. How did I get cut off? M. Sharma का नाम आ रहा है आगे. M. Sharma का नाम क्या होगा आगे?
और ये बीच में आ गए थे. आप प्लीज कंटिन्यू करें, मैं इनको म्यूट कर दिया.
No, so what I was saying was that in this age of turmoil and transition, when the old is collapsing and the new is struggling to be born, it is very important for us to look into our scriptures, not to go backwards in time. Some people feel that we can go backwards. That's not possible. Charai veti, the Veda says we must move onwards, not backwards. But we can try and get some wisdom, some inspiration, some guidance from our sacred texts. Now we have a tremendous treasure of sacred texts. We have the Vedas, the Brahmanas, the Aranyakas, the Upanishads, then the Puranas, the Itihasa, so-called the Mahabharata, Ramayana, huge corpus of work. And it is interesting that the Bhagavad Gita is only a very small text. It's 700 verses. It is embedded in the Mahabharata. And what I'd give an example, for example, if you look up at night and you see the stars, which we don't see in Delhi, unfortunately, it's so polluted. I presume you see it wherever you are, in London or elsewhere. Then you will see that there are lots of millions of stars, but there's one star which is particularly bright. And that is the Dhruvatara, the pole star. It is not the largest, it is not the brightest, but it has a special intensity. The same thing is true with the Gita. In this huge ocean of literature that we have, the Gita has a special position. Along with the Brahma Sutras, these are the three foundations of the Vedanta. So the Gita is very important. And it is very interesting that all the great philosophers of India who've wanted to put forward their philosophy have had to write commentary on the Gita. That is why we have a large number of commentaries down through the ages. Adi Shankaracharya says in one of his stotras, Bhagavad Gita kinchita dita ganga jal lavakanika pita sakritapi yasya murari samarcha tasya yamah kim kurute. In other words, even a little of this wisdom of the Gita can save us from death. And Gita itself says, Neha vikramanashosti pratyavayo na vidyate swarpam apyasya dharmasya trayate bhatovaya. No negative forces can prevail. No amount of effort will be wasted. Even a little of the dharma, swarpam apyasya dharmasya trayate bhatovaya, saves us from a great fear. The fear of death, the fear of suffering, the fear, all sorts of fears that we have, but the Gita can save us from that. And the commentaries, as I've said, being written by Shankara, by Ramanuja, by Vallabhacharya, by Madhavacharya, by Sant Gyaneshwar wrote the great Marathi version of the Gita. Lokmanya Tilak, one of the foremost leaders of our freedom movement in the early stages, he's written Gita Rahasya, very important. Sri Aurobindo, the great thinker and the great philosopher, he's written essays on the Gita, which is probably the most comprehensive commentary. An Englishman called Sri Krishna Prem has written a wonderful commentary on the Gita called The Yoga of the Bhagavad Gita. So there are lots and lots of commentaries. Now, why is the Gita so important? First of all, I'll try and explain why it is so important. The first reason is that it is a scripture of conflict. And we are in a conflictual situation today. The Upanishad background is quite different. There the Rishi sits in a quiet place on the banks of a river or in a mountain resort. And the Shishyas, one or two more Shishyas are there. And there is this dialogue. But the Gita situation is totally different. The war is beginning. The conches have already blown. The weapons are ready to be released. And at that situation, we have the Gita. Now, Gita is also, by the way, a dialogue. Ours is a dialogic civilization. We are not a revealed civilization. Here's one text, take it or leave it. No. We're a dialogue. It's always question and answer. I explained last time about the Upanishads also. Upanishads are questions by the Shishyas and answers from the Rishis. Here again, there's a question and answer setting. And but it is a conflict. Krishna said, Tasmat uttishta kaunteya yuddhaya nisakishtaya krita nischaya. Therefore, O Arjuna, arise, ready for battle. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmar yuddhacha. At all times, rise and think of me and fight. So it is a scripture of conflict. And today, I think we all find ourselves in a conflictual situation. We are not sitting comfortably in ashramas. We are involved in the world with the various problems, whether they're political or economic or social or whatever. We are actively involved. And therefore, it appeals to us particularly today because it is a scripture of conflict. That is the first reason that the Gita is so important and so influential. The second reason is the divine personality of the Guru in the Gita. Every Shastra has a Guru. The Upanishads have great Gurus, Yajnavalkya, Angirasa, Yama himself, and so on. Here the Guru is no less Sri Krishna himself. Now Sri Krishna is looked upon by crores of people as an incarnation of the divine, of the highest divine. And that divine personality of the Gita makes it very important. He's not any guru. Sri Krishna himself descended into the world in order to help humanity. So he could be looked upon as a representative of the great divine Tanaiva Bhansa Manubhati Sarvam, Tasya Bhasa Sarvam Vidam Vivati. He can be looked upon as the Virat Sarup, which he shows to Arjuna in the 11th chapter. But we come across him as the charioteer. Very important, very significant. Normally, the owner of the chariot is the boss and the charioteer is below it. But here we have a reverse thing. The charioteer is the guru, and the person who's riding in the chariot is the disciple. So he's here, he's physically there. He's not in some faraway heaven. He's not invisible in some mystic situation. He's there, sitting with Arjuna in his chariot. So therefore, I think that it becomes so important, the divine personality of the Gita. He is not only Sri Krishna, he's also there present in the chariot with Arjuna, leading. In fact, he's driving the chariot of Arjuna. That is why it makes it so important, because here we have the divine who is driving us, driving our chariot, who's showing us the direction, because that's what the driver does. So that's the second reason. The first reason is it's a scripture of conflict, and we are in a conflictual situation. The second reason is the divine and unique personality of the Guru, in this case, Sri Krishna. The third reason is the unique relationship between the Guru and the Shishya. You see, Guru-Shishya relationship is always very close. In the Upanishads, the Gurus constantly describe their Shishyas as Somya, the beloved one, the one whom the young people whom they are nurturing. But here in the Gita, there is a very special relationship. And that relationship comes out in one shloka after the Virat Sarup Darshan in the 11th chapter. When Arjuna prostrates, when he comes back into his form, prostrates before him and says, I'm very sorry, I've treated you as a friend. I may have misbehaved with you during when we were playing or when we were on the couch or whatever. He apologizes for that. And then he says, Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam prasadaya ham ishim ilim piteva putrasya sakheva sakyu priya priyayarasi devas. What an extraordinary shloka it is. Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam. Therefore, I now bow before you. Prasadaya aham ishim. I now demand grace from you. What relationship do I demand? Piteva putrasya. The relationship of father to a dear son. A very, very close relationship. But not only that, because that relationship is within the four corners of the family. Sakheva sakyu. Like a friend to a comrade. Friendship knows no barriers. Raja and a rank can be friends. People can be friends across different continents. Somebody can be in the United States, somebody can be in London, can be friends. So, the love of a father for a son, of a friend for a day, but not only that, priya yarsites, of a lover to the beloved. Now, what an extraordinary relationship. The combined relationship of the love of a father to a son, of a friend to a comrade, and of a lover to the beloved, that relationship Arjuna has with Krishna. I think it is a unique relationship. I cannot think of any such relationship in any other text that I have come across. And that makes it very personal, very important. But that is the sort of relationship we all crave. We do. All the other relationships are bound within various things. But when you have these three relationships, that's all. There's nothing more that you can possibly ask for. So therefore, the third reason why it is so important is this unique relationship of closeness between Arjuna and Krishna, which, as I have said, I think is not found in any other text. And the fourth and final reason why the Gita is so important and so significant is its universal applicability. It is not directed to any one caste, to any one religion for that matter. Yo yatha mam prapadyate taha satheva vyamyam. He says, whoever worships me in whatever way, I bestow my love upon them. This is also a unique thing. There are many religions say, no, you have to worship in this way, otherwise you are not on. But Krishna does, he says, yo yam yam tanum bhakta shraddhaya architam ichchati tasya tasyachalam shraddham tam eva vidhamyam. In whatever way people approach me, I strengthen their devotion. This is a very broad, very remarkable thing to say. When he says me, he doesn't mean Krishna, me. He is as a representative of the divine. What he's saying in effect is, in whatever way you want to worship the divine, I will strengthen your Shraddha. It's an astounding statement. And therefore, the Gita has become one of the most influential books around the world, after perhaps the Bible and the Quran, the Gita. These are the three books which probably cover 7/8 of humanity. Now, so therefore the four reasons, I'll reconnect those four reasons. It's a scripture of conflict, and we are in a conflictual situation. We have the unique personality of the Guru in Sri Krishna, who is the Lord himself descended into the world. We have the amazing relationships between Krishna and Arjuna, the Guru and the Shishya. And we have the universal applicability of the Gita. The fact that he says, whoever approaches the divine in whatever way, he will strengthen his Shraddha. These are four reasons why I think the Gita is so very important for us. Now the question arises, what are the teachings of the Gita? I will come to that now. Again, I'll put before you 4 points regarding the teachings of the Gita, which are significant. The first teaching is the theory of correct action, the theory of karma. There's always, everybody's got a problem. What is karna kya? What should we do? Kya karna chahiye? Should we do this? Should we do that? What decision should we take? What road should we follow? Now, Sri Krishna doesn't give a big list of do's and don'ts. There are no do's and don'ts in this. But what he does do is, he gives one key shloka to Arjuna. Yata pravrittir bhutanam yen sarvamidam tatam swakaramna tamabhyarcha siddhim bindati man. That power that pervades this entire universe, yata pravrittir bhutanam, by one's karma, one should offer one's karma to that, we move towards perfection. So what is he saying? He's saying that whatever you do, dedicate it to the divine. Like I am a worshipper of Lord Shiva, yat yat karma karomi tat tat akhilam shambho davarada. Whatever I am doing, including this lecture, I devote, dedicate to Shiva. So what Krishna is saying is that divine power that pervades the universe, if you dedicate your work to the divinity, whichever divinity you worship Krishna, you worship Shiva, you worship Jesus Christ, or you look upon Muhammad as a prophet of the divine, or Moses, or whatever your highest aspect of spirituality is, if you dedicate your work to that, then you can never do the wrong thing. That is an inner key. He can't give you a list of what you should do. Because the moment you are doing something wrong, you will know, how can I dedicate this to my Ishta, to the divine? So that is an inner key that he has given you. That whenever you have any important decision, or whenever you want to do anything, dedicate what you have to do to the divine, and that will give you the correct guidance. So the theory of karma in the Gita is very important, because karma is also an important road to salvation, and the Gita particularly mentions that. Now the second teaching is the integrated yoga. As you know, there are four main paths to the divine. There's the Jnana Yoga, the way of the mind, that is the Upanishads and philosophies and so on. There's the Bhakti Yoga, the way of the heart, of emotions. There's Karma Yoga, the way of the arms, the way of action. And there's the Raja Yoga, the way of the breath. Now, all these four yogas are covered in the Gita. Nahi jnanena saddrisham pavitra nahi vidite. There is nothing more pure than wisdom, he says, about jnana. And about bhakti, of course, wherever Sri Krishna is, there's always bhakti automatically. Because he came to deliver us. When he was born in that Mathura jail, the moment he was born, the fetters fell off his father's arms. The gates that could be opened only by 1,000 people on either side slid open, and he was. So he's been the liberator. So bhakti is there, and his great yoga and his great maya of the Vrindavan, of his childhood. That is something which is so beautiful and so lovely. The rasa that he has with Radha and the gopis and all his boyhood pranks and all. So bhakti is already there. Then karma. Karma is very important, as I said, the way of karma. Because people had begun to feel that it was only if you went into some ashrama that you could attain salvation. The Gita says no. Upanishads also say that. Gita says no, if you can act now, action itself can become an important path of liberation. And then finally there's the Raja Yoga. In chapters 6 and 7, if you read, you'll get enough instruction. How you should sit, how you should breathe, and what you should think. And you can become a yogi. He says, tapasvi bhyo diko yogi. The yogi is greater than the tapasvi. Jnani bhyo even is greater than the jnana. Karma bhyo even is greater than the karma yogi. Tasmat yogi bhavashi. Therefore become a yogi. So these four paths of yoga, which are so different in so many ways, and of which there are huge texts, in Gita they are all encapsulated in what one could call an integrated yoga. So the Gita teaches a yoga that integrates the mind, the heart, the body, and the breath. I think that's tremendously important, because we may be following one or more of these paths, but what we need to do now in this day and age is to follow all four to some extent. In the old days, perhaps one was enough, but not now. We're living in such a difficult age, a Kali Yuga. We need the Jnana. We need to be a Jnana yogi to some extent. We should read some of our great scriptures. We need to be a Bhakti yogi. We have to have a devotion to some form of the divine, or even the formless, if you prefer that. And we have to do some karma dedicated to the divine. And we also have to do some yoga at least. If nothing yoga normally is looked upon as being very difficult, and those asana, I'm not talking about that part of the yoga. It's just simply even the breathing. Breathing in from one nostril, breathing out from the other, that itself is a yoga. And breathing in again, doing that, that's quite safe. If you sit upright and concentrate your mind and put your mind on your breath, you will find that your mind is becoming calmer. All the excitement and all the tensions will gradually fall away. So the Gita teaches us this very, very important lesson that all the four yogas are needed. And it teaches us the integral yoga. The third teaching of the yoga are repeated assurances of divine intervention. Throughout the Gita, he says, he makes general assurances. One to the whole world. Yada yada hi dharmasya glane bhavati bharata. Abhyuttanama dharmasya tathatmanam prajamyaham. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkatam. Dharma samsthapanaya sambhavami. From age to age, whenever dharma is in danger, dharma seems to be victorious, I descend from age to age. And then he also gives individual assurances to Arjuna. No me bhakta pranashyati. My bhakta will never be destroyed. So he gives assurance. But here I'm going to say something which perhaps you have not heard before. I have a view that we've got to hold Sri Krishna to his promise. When a minister makes a promise in the House of Parliament or in our Lok Sabha, we get up and say, look, you made this promise. Why have you not fulfilled? Now, Krishna makes so many promises. Now, Krishna is, वो बहुत चालाक है, बहुत टेढ़े हैं. He's full of mischief. So unless we nail him down, we can't just get away by making these promises. अच्छा, अब कब आएंगे आप? वो गालिब का शेर याद आता है मुझे कि हमने माना तगाफुल न करोगे लेकिन खाक हो जाएंगे हम तुमको खबर होने तक. The way things are going, by the time you descend, we are all into the dust. So, my dear Lord Krishna, we are going to hold you to your promise. And if there's an aspiration from below, as Sri Aurobindo says, there will be an answer from above. So each one of us has got to hold Sri Krishna to his promise. So many promises he makes in the Gita. He's got to fulfill them. Because we are not just dust to be blown here and there. Each one of us is potentially divine. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshe tishtati. He says himself in the Gita. The Lord resides in the heart of all beings. Therefore, we have the right to demand that he fulfill his promises. This may sound very radical to you, but this is something I feel strongly. I feel we cannot just accept and say, वाह वाह बहुत अच्छे आपने हमें आश्वासन दिए हैं, लेकिन आश्वासन पूरे कीजिए. So that is the third thing, the repeated assurances of divine intervention, to which we must hold it. I told you the first teaching is the teaching of karma. What should we do with karma? Teaching of action. The second is the fact that it's in an integrated yoga. The four yogas, the jnana, the bhakti, the karma and the raja are combined in the Gita. The third is that all these assurances that he has given us of divine intervention, which are a great source of support to us, but we have to hold him to it. And the fourth and final part of the Gita, of the teaching that I want, is the gospel of total surrender. After giving the whole Gita, and after answering all of Arjuna's questions, Sri Krishna then comes out with his own shloka, or his own teaching at the end. And what does he say right at the end? Sarv dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishami ma shata. Another assurance. Sarv dharman parityajya. What is a dharma? Dharyati dharma. Dharma is what supports us. Some people think their wealth will support them. Some people think their political power will support them. Some people think their physical prowess will support. In the final analysis, none of these will come with us. It is only our dedication and devotion to the divine that will support us. So he says, Sarv dharman, but give up all dharmas. Mam ekam sharanam, come alone to me. And again, I hold that he's saying, not as Krishna, but as a representative of the divine. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshesha. I will save you from all sin. And what are the last two words? Ma shucha. Fear not. I think those last two words sum up the teaching of the Gita. Because what he's saying is, after what I've told you about all the yogas and about all the dharmas and about what situation is, in the end, do not fear, have faith. Just remember one thing, where there is fear, there is no faith. And where there is no faith, there is faith, there is no fear. If you have fear, there is no faith. That means you do not have faith in the divine. But if you have faith, you have no fear. So where there is fear, there is no faith. Where there is faith, there is no fear. And I think that is what Sri Krishna is saying at the end of the Gita. Ma suja. Do not fear. जैसे कोई अंधेरे कमरे में बच्चा जा रहा हो, माँ पीछे खड़ी है, डरो नहीं बेटा, मैं पीछे हूँ. He's saying, I am with you. I am sitting in your chariot. Do not fear. So these, I think, are the reasons why the Gita is so very important. Reasons why it is important and the teachings. And I think it is essential for us to realize that the divine charioteer is seated within us. Remember, Kurukshetra is not only a plain in Haryana. Kurukshetra is within each one of us. Within our own consciousness, the Devic and the Asuric Shaktis of fighting with each other. And there, within that, we can find the divine charioteer. So with the voice of the divine charioteer echoing in our ears, and the voice of the divine flute playing. In fact, I prefer Krishna of the flute than Krishna of the charioteer, I must say. And with the cosmic dance of Shiva Nataraja going on, let us proceed boldly towards our spiritual goal. Let us not let negativity overcome us. Let us not let the problems of the world and the difficulties of the world cow us down spiritually. Let us always remember that we are potentially divine. We have the divine within us. Krishna himself has said that in each individual the divine resides. And therefore, remembering our spiritual background, we've got to move forward boldly. That is the message of the Gita. And I'll end with a beautiful shloka. And this shloka says, Lord Krishna, please take us into your consciousness today. At my last moment, I may not be able to speak. Who knows, somebody may be in ICU or somebody may be on a ventilator. Therefore, do not delay. Aaj hi hame apne charanon mein le lo. So I started with the dhyan of Sri Krishna and Radha. I close with this shloka, which is a very, very moving shloka. Krishna Tvadiya Padapankaja Panjarante Addeva me Vishudumanasa Rajahamsaha Prana Prayana Samaye Kahavati Pitte Kantavarodhana Vidho Smaranam Guru. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Karan Singh ji. You have today given us this gyan with such simplicity and so beautifully. I'm sure everybody would cherish it for life. And as you said, what we get from Gita and from the Updesh. I had also read one thing which one said that, like you said, the good and the bad, the evil and the demon, everything is within us. And who wins? The one we feed the most. So we have to look after who we are feeding, and the one we'll feed will win. So now with this, I would like, if anybody would have any question to ask Dr. Saab on Gita, then we would be happy to quickly take it.
Happy to respond.
Kiran ji is here. She would like to ask a question. Kiran ji, you can unmute.
Yes, I did. Jayadeva Maharaj, I am Kiran from Atlanta. General Govardhan's daughter. हाँ जी वो यही पता नहीं होई के पर हो गई है. And I hope that Gita plays into it and everything comes to the center and not any extremes on either side. जयदेव जी, हाँ जी.
इससे लगता सी सारे की बड़ा पॉजिटिव डेवलपमेंट होया जेड़ा अमेरिका च इलेक्शन होया.
हाँ जी, I hope everybody comes to the center. That's what I feel. थोड़ा balance चाहिए है बस. बड़ा अच्छा lecture ha. As we age, as I am aging, we are getting more spiritual. I think that is the nature of Hinduism also. You're done with your tasks, you have more time to reflect, and you start looking into what it is that centers you and that grows you in this direction, because it is a peace of mind. This is where you get your solid peace of mind from your faith. So as I have been reading, and thanks to all the Hindi serials, watching Gita and listening to how it all developed, some questions have come up, especially in these turbulent times that we live. जियां तुसें समझाया सारा के उपदेश बड़े अच्छे न or bade relevant na, and you can apply it to every little task that you think you are doing, and every thought that comes to your mind, you can check it against Gita and know if you've developed your conscience. You have to have a good conscience first. If to tell the right from the wrong, you can tell whether you're on the right track, whether your thoughts are on the right track, let alone your actions. First, your thoughts have to be on the right track. But in this global world, like Hanji,
as your thoughts, so are your actions.
yes, yes. But in this global world where we are not living only in the time that Gita was delivered, it was probably all Hindus, all at least in this similar Sanatan Dharam sort of lineage.
There was a lot of conflict.
Even though it talks about being relevant for everybody, forecasting probably that other religions, other people will come and it will be a time-tested thing. But still, now that we are practically living in this global world with all these religions, all these philosophies, atheists, the where they have no concept of
Yes.
rebirth, no concept of all this. It's like whatever it is right now, I will do it and get the most. Kamachavi, there is so much competition. Every field you have to it's very stressful for children also. How do you test all that and keep your faith and do the right thing so that you at least don't get annihilated or sidetracked because people that you deal with and cultures that you live in and religions that they have to deal with, politics, whether it is just how do you find that balance? And I know Mahabharata happened because it was violent and it was needed. But at least all the people involved had some context of what is right and wrong and what is Hinduism and religion. And here we have like...
I must take you all into confidence. My name is Karna. So my sympathy is not with the Pandavas, remember that.
I know.
I got grave reservations about the Mahabharata. But we are talking only of the Gita now.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is that living in a totally different environment, where we do not accept something that we take for granted, such as reincarnation and karma and so on. But I think after what you have to do is, you have to stick to your own beliefs and act accordingly. You do not have to oppose anybody's religion because, as you know, as I said last time in the Upanishads, the Rig Veda mantra is Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti. The truth is one, the wise call it by many names. There are many different philosophies, religions. There's now atheists also. Even in the Vedic times, there were the Charvakas. They were atheists. They said there's no such thing as God. They were also accepted into our tradition. So we do not have to worry about what other people think or do. You have your own beliefs. You stick to them quietly. Do your karma. Do your yoga. And continue with your life. And as you grow older, you are a young woman still. But Lord Shiva, I'll be 90 on my next birthday. So you are my daughter.
Yes, I hope to follow in your and my father's energy track and not feel old inside. But the question was more not what we believe or what our faith is not going to be shaken, but how to deal practically with all these elements in order to survive, actually have...
You have to accept realities. I mean, deal practically, I presume you mean deal with your fellow workers or with your boss or with whoever working with you. I mean,
or communities or, wars, religion, Middle East, whatever. How do...
You don't have to get into that. In Atlanta, there must be some Hindu organization, I'm sure.
नहीं बहुत हैं यहाँ तो there is more Hinduism here than practiced in India आजकल. You came to inaugurate that. There are hundreds of वो Riverdale temple आप inaugurate करने आए थे. अभी तो Vedic temple, I mean hundreds. यहाँ कुंज है, I don't know, लखनऊ के वो महाराज जी का temple 5 minutes from my house. बहुत कुछ है. That all resources are there. But बाहर जाके you are living in a foreign country, even India में भी एक सिर्फ Hinduism ही नहीं है, कितनी और हैं.
क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Doesn't matter. What difference does it make? How many, wherever we may be.
Yeah. So
वो एक in your own faith and in your own consciousness, it doesn't matter where you go. Mind you, in the Mahabharata, everybody didn't accept Krishna. I mean, there were more armies on the other side than on the side of the Pandavas.
Right, right.
So it doesn't really matter how many different civilizations you come across. You will have
And our faith is that the good shall prevail. So
you can try and keep in touch with some Hindu organization,
yeah,
which you have, or some temple or somewhere that gives you a little link and gives you a little self-confidence. That's what I would suggest.
yeah.
But don't worry about interacting with other. We don't have to have any. So Kamala Harris, I mean, she may not be Hindu, but she's Indian origin. Great congratulations to the people of America. They've elected an Indian origin woman as the vice president.
Yeah.
It's a very big thing.
I had one other quick question, just something that's in my mind. So Krishan ji came down as Vishnu's avatar, and in those times, Pandavas were aware कि ये higher being है, Bhagwan है, कुछ है. But was the general people around that time aware कि ये भगवान का अवतार आए हैं जब उनसे डील करते थे, Kauravs for example, या दूसरे, did they know कि ये वो है, या they just thought कि कोई upstart आया है?
They didn't think he was a divine. They thought he was a very, very clever, very cunning, he had all sorts of magical powers. But they didn't, for example, when he went into Duryodhana's darbar or Duryodhana's thing, they tried to arrest him at one point.
Yes.
They showed this thing. So they didn't know. Only the Pandavas were the ones who were so devoted to him.
They saw that in him.
He was a god or not, but he was their mentor and guide, and he was very much in their favor, and that's why they loved him.
Bas, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Hadban sir, you have a question? I'll unmute you.
Thank you. Sir, I have two small doubts. They have been nagging me for a long, long time. I'm not a scholar of Gita, I must say, I confess rather. First, in the first chapter, there are 3 shlokas dealing with the Varnashram.
Yes.
I think 42, 43, 44 shloka of the first chapter, where Arjun says that this is what we are told, that anybody who violates the dharma of Varnashram, उस कुल में वर्ण संकर पैदा होते हैं. वर्ण संकरों के पैदा होने से कुल का और कुल घातक का भी विनाश होता है और सभी का पूर्वजों का भी पतन हो जाता है. So how is that, sir?
Krishna, that was trashed by Sri Krishna. He never accepted that.
He did. But in the end, in the 18th chapter, Sri Krishna himself said, he described what are the different dharmas of all these varnas.
You see, what he did at that time, remember one thing, that our civilization was based upon the caste system, which is unfortunate. For example, in the same way, the greatest civilization of the Greeks, the Greek civilization, was based on slavery, which is totally, unacceptable today. So it is the fact that there was this caste system there, which was then later became very rigid, very unfair, very cruel. Every Hindu reformer who started his work started by attacking the caste system. Every single one, from Raja Ram Mohan Roy down to the present day, they all rejected the caste system. It is still prevalent in India, and a lot of cruelty is involved. I think it is a negation of the Vedanta. Because the Vedanta says that the divine is in everyone. Then how can you look down upon somebody just because he happens to be born in a different caste? So this is the constant tension within Hinduism, and we have to deal with that. Each one of us has got to overcome this. You remember my father, you've written books on him. He, in 1929, he opened all the temples in J&K for what were known as Harijans, what we now call Dalits. It is a very progressive measure. Even today, there are temples who do not want Dalits to come in. So we have to, and by law now it is against the law. Practicing caste discrimination is against the law in India. India says that every individual is equal, but the caste system says they are not. So you're quite right to raise this picture. As far as Arjuna Singh goes, this Varnashankar and all, Krishna proceeds to say, no, this is not important. He trashes that. That was the traditional conservative view. And even now, नहीं जी उत्थे ब्याह नहीं करना दे, उत्थे नहीं करना दे, उत्थे रिश्ता नहीं करना, फलान नहीं करना, वो अजय तक भी चला था. But we have to overcome that. I think that's
the second out, sir. There is a finality in Gita also. Like many of the other Semitic religions, there is certitude, finality. There is a whole lot of dialogue between Guru and Shishya, one friend and another. And one by one, most of them are told to him and some of them eliminated. But finally, Lord Krishna, I believe that he too lost patience with him and he had to reveal his Virat Roop.
Oh, without that, he had to do that. You're right. It's very interesting. Without that, Arjuna wasn't impressed. He wasn't convinced.
He revealed his Virat Roop twice in Mahabharata. Once in Kaurav Sabha, when he was an ambassador and was spurned by Duryodhan, who called him Mayavi. And in that Sabha, I think probably only Dhritarashtra, Bhishma and Vidur. These were the three who were devotees of Krishna. All others, they did not believe in his divinity.
Who saw the Virat Roop. Other people couldn't see it. They were blinding.
So ultimately, the certitude has to be there in every religion or every philosophy. I am final. This is final. मैं हूँ अव्वल, मैं हूँ आखिर.
You're right. In the Upanishads, there is no such display of spiritual power. That's why I said the Upanishads are absolutely magnificent. But in the Gita, by the time of the Gita, there had already been a decline in spiritual awareness. And that is why you are right. He had to show his Virat Swarup. Then ultimately Arjun will parry.
Yes.
He didn't accept. Arjun kept asking questions. So you're quite, that's a very interesting point you make. Why the Virat Swarup Darshan came in. But it didn't come at the end of the Gita, interestingly. It comes in the middle of the Gita.
11th chapter.
So it doesn't end with the Virat Swarup. He again comes down to human form and the dialogue continues.
In the 18th chapter, in fact, there is a dialogue of reconciliation between the Guru and the Shishya, the two friends.
Now my doubts are dispelled. That is the thing. You're right. It's very interesting, very interesting.
But this thing has been nagging me all my life.
The relationship is very close, Arjuna and Krishna, because he himself says that I may have been disrespectful to you when we were on the couch or when we were eating or playing and all. I called you Yadav and so and so. I didn't know your divine thing. It's only after he sees the divine force that he then realizes the divinity. You're absolutely right. That's a good point that you take.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Saab, I have a small question to ask. A lot of sages wrote the importance of Nam Japa. What is the importance of Nam Japa and how it helps to meet Param Brahma?
Well, Nam Japa is one of the important parts of bhakti. For example, I always carry a mala in my hand. And whenever I'm not doing anything, I keep Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. I keep japaing. Not only in the puja, even if I'm sitting around, maybe watching television, doing something. So Nam Japa reminds you of the divine. It is a reminder. This is a reminder of the divine. Many people have a rosary.
Yeah.
The Christians have a rosary. Muslims have a tasbih, what they call. So these are all reminding mechanisms to remind you of the divine all the time. Or japa is very important. कहते हैं कली युग में जप जो है is very significant because people now don't have any time to do elaborate pujas and rituals and yagyas and all. Who's got the time? Who's got the energy? Therefore, with japa, you can just carry on with japa all the time. Na lende raho. मैं तो शिव जी महाराज का नाम लेना 24 घंटे.
जी, बड़ा शैल. Let me ask anybody else before we close today's session. Krishna Pandit ji from Bombay, he's the president of Dogra Samaj, Mumbai. I'll unmute you. कृष्णा जी, आपको खुद अनम्यूट करना पड़ेगा कृष्णा भैया. या you're
कर दिया जी. सारे कोला पहला तुसे मेरा प्रणाम. मेरी मिगी एक गल तुसे पूछनी ही. बोलो. मैं डोगरी बोलगा, मिकी इंग्लिश बरोबर आंदी नहीं. हिंदी और इंग्लिश मैं डोगरी बोलगा. मिगी एक सुनाओ कि मंत्रास खाली कन्ने बिच पोने करने ठीक हुंदा या मंत्रा जपना ठीक हुंदा?
देखो जी, दो चीज़ें ठीक होंगी. अगर करने भी मंत्र पाओ तो कोई बुरी गल नहीं है. अगर जपो वो भी अच्छी गल. They are not mutually exclusive.
फायदे केड़े चंगे हुंदे ने जेदे कन्ने जपना कन्ने फायदे हुंदे न कि कन्ने बिच तुस जियां अस सवेरे वॉकिंग करने आ ते वॉकिंग दे बिच अस कन्ने बिच वो ईयरफोन लाइए ते YouTube दे ऊपर अस सुनदे रोने आ.
नहीं, बड़ा मंत्रा ठीक. किसी भी कोई काम करा लो, कने सुना भी करो, कने जपा भी करो. माला एक ले लो.
अच्छा, माला लइए जपना भी चाहिदा.
जपना चाहिदा. अगर हो सके रखी लो, बोझ रखी लो माला. जिसले कोई टाइम.
दुआ एक मेरा क्वेश्चन, दुआ एक क्वेश्चन इया हां कि पूर्व जन्म है के? बड़े सारे लोग आखदे ने कि पूर्व जन्म हुंदा, ते पूर्व जन्म है के?
साड़ी फिलॉसफी ते पूर्व जन्म हुंदा. साड़ी जेड़ा वेदांत विच भी है, साड़ी फिलॉसफी च हिंदुइज्म विच, बुद्धिज्म विच, जैनिज्म विच, सिखिज्म विच, चार जेडी इंडिक फिलॉसफीज हैं उनके सारे च रीइनकारनेशन होंदी, पुनर्जन्म होंदा. जेडे वन शॉट रिलीजन्स एंड सेमेटिक रिलीजन्स, जूडाइज्म, क्रिश्चियनिटी, इस्लाम, वो आखदे नहीं होंदा, एक जन्म होंदा. असें ते लगदा कि इन्ना कुछ अस एक जन्म विच कियां सिक्खी सकदे हां. तुसी जन्म जन्मांतर कोशिश नहीं की जाए कियां करिए. वो आखदे नहीं इक्के च करना. तुसें भाएं 10 साल रहो, भाएं 100 साल रहो, इक्के च करना पौना. दीज आर टू डिफरेंट थियरीज. इन फैक्ट इंडिक रिलीजन की विशेषता ये है, दो अस पूरे जन्म की मनने और दूआ सारे धर्म की समझने कि वो सारे जेडे असें जाई सकदे. और कुसै धर्म विच नहीं है. बाकी धर्म आखदे साढ़ा गै धर्म थोड़ा नहीं है. तो साढ़े धर्म पर चल गए तो ठीक, नहीं तो थोड़े सिर कट्टी हो गए. ये साढ़े च नहीं है. एकम सत विप्रा बहुधा वदंती. अपने अपने तरीके ने करो, पर करो जरूर. तो थोड़ा जो पहला सवाल है, तो सुनो भी जरूर, माला भी लिए, जपा भी करो जिसले मौका. दो काम करो.
बड़ा बड़ा धन्यवाद थोड़ा. बहुत बहुत.
Sir, just on this question which Krishna Bhaiya asked, when you said that you should also listen and you should also try and बोलना भी चाहिए श्लोकों को, मंत्रों को, मैंने कहीं पे पढ़ा था कि अगर मंत्र को ठीक से उच्चारण नहीं करा तो उसका असर गलत भी होता है.
वो तो बड़े तांत्रिक मंत्र के बारे में, कॉम्प्लिकेटेड. सिंपल मंत्र जी ओम नमः शिवाय है,
हाँ वो तो सब,
ओम या ओम नमो नारायणाय, सिंपल मंत्र जेडे इनके कोई खतरा नहीं. वो तो होते तांत्रिक मंत्र जो करते हैं,
हाँ जी,
वो गलत नहीं होने चाहिए. वो लंबे मंत्र होते हैं, वो ये इन मंत्रों के साथ, नॉर्मल मंत्रों के साथ उनका कोई संबंध नहीं.
जी जी, थैंक यू. ते हुन होर कोई any question, or we will let Dr. Saab rest then. We've taken a lot of his time. He's been very kind and very patient, always with us.
I enjoy really interacting with the International Dogra Society. I don't know if Dogras are listening to this, but it is tremendously important. And I congratulate you for what you're doing. Your thing says that you have 43,000 followers. That's a lot of followers.
Thank you, sir.
Carry on with the good work. And warm Diwali greetings to all of you. बड़ी बड़ी बधाई है. महालक्ष्मी का श्लोक करना, मैं एक दिवाली का करे समाप्त करना.
जी.
या सा पद्मासनस्था विपुल कटितटी पद्म पत्रायताक्षी गंभीरावर्तनाभि स्तनभरणमिता शुभ्र वस्तोत्तरीय लक्ष्मी दिव्यै गजेन्द्रै मणिगण खचितैः स्नापिता हेम कुंभैः Nityam sa padma tava vastu grahe sarva mangalyam.
Yeah, I want to confirm.
Naren. Namaste.
Sundasaryada mata tanvat.
Namaste. Thank you.